Chewing. Good evening, everyone. I'm calling to order the Racial Equity and Policing Commission. It is now 5:43. I'd like to welcome everyone and do roll call. I'd like to first start online. Commissioners, will you introduce yourself?
Commissioner Summerfield, present.
Good evening, Commissioner Calvert, present.
Commissioner Chloe Raymundo, present.
Gloria, are you present?
Present.
I'm in person. And Chair Deetria Taylor.
Commissioner Snejana Rokanita, present.
Michelle Mooney, Salt Lake City Mayor's Office.
Damian Choi, Chief Impact Officer.
Brian Red, Chief of Police, Salt Lake City Police Department.
Brandon Christiansen, Deputy Chief at Salt Lake City Police Department.
Bill Manzanares, Deputy Chief, Salt Lake City Police Department.
Son of the City Council Office.
Robin Hartney, Lieutenant, Salt Lake City Police Department.
Thank you, everyone. I want to give an update on our vacancies. We have 2 commissioners in the process of being confirmed. We have 1 position open for youth commissioner, and that leaves 2 openings for commissioners that we're still looking to fill. I'd like to open the meeting up for dialogue if commissioners have any topics they'd like to discuss at this time, online or present. Okay, I don't see anyone from the community tonight, so we'll bypass the public comment. I would like to approve and adopt the minutes for the month of May. Can I get it's not a nomination, what do we call it?
A motion.
A motion, please, from the floor.
I'll motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. The May 2026 minutes have been approved and adopted.
Oh, you have to get it by formal vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. All approved online.
Aye.
Okay, so if you're not on camera, you have to raise your virtual hand. Or come on camera and raise your physical hand. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Red.
Thank you. It's good to be with all of you tonight. Just a few things to update on. First, we were just presenting our budget to the City Council, the mayor's recommended budget for our police department. So that happened today. In that presentation, we kind of talked about the state of the police department and where things are going. And I think we're moving in a good direction. We're still fully staffed as a department. We're getting a lot of those positions are in training or in field training or in the academy. So we won't fill full staffing until November, December timeframe. But that will make a big difference. Our crime rates are looking really good this year to date. This year compared to year to date last year, we're down over 20% on crime. So it's significant. Another good metric that is our call response times are coming down. So over the past year, moving our priority one calls down from 7.5 minutes to 6.5 minutes, and our lower priority calls are even a stronger improvement. So, as we continue to get fully staffed, we're also still moving forward on our alternate responses. Our civilian response team, our social workers are out working hard. This is also helping in a lot of areas where we can send police officers to higher priority calls where there's crime, and where we can have our civilian responders take some of these calls off the police. They're more appropriate for them to handle in the first place is good. We're going to talk a little bit about the Real-Time Crime Center. Last year, your commission has supported some funding for our Drone as First Responder program, and our Real-Time Crime Center. We really appreciate that from the council, and we've been piloting our Drone as First Responder, and we're seeing some really great successes. In February, we deployed the drone to a number of calls, and I think that it was as a pilot around 42 calls, and nearly 40% of those calls were resolved without having to send an officer. So we've also, and we'll show you some video here in just a minute of some cases where the drone was deployed. We'll get that up on the screen here in a minute so you can see. We just really appreciate you supporting that investment, and it's making a difference. Other than that, I thought I might address a situation that happened out near the ICE facility last Saturday. You've probably seen on social media. We had a number of arrests that were made. This result.
It's me.
Stop. The arrests occurred away from the protest site. There was a traffic stop our officers were conducting on a vehicle. It looked like a police vehicle without license plates. They made the traffic stop. While they were doing so, a number of individuals came onto the traffic stop and were doing some filming. It resulted in a couple posts you may have seen online. So we're doing a review as a department currently on that incident. We've got our teams that were there doing kind of an after action review. We've talked about it as a leadership team, and we're going to make some adjustments out there. The reason that we were out there in the first place, I think it's important just to let this commission know that the very first protest that happened out at that facility, we had a team in the area a ways away, but not at the protest site. And what happened was the protest was going along fine, and then some individuals showed up, started throwing rocks at the building, breaking windows. An ICE agent ended up having a broken wrist during the incident. And then the protest organizers actually tried to get in front of these individuals and stop them from the activity that they were doing, throwing the rocks. After that, I spoke with one of the organizers, and we talked about what it would look like if he brought his organization back out there, which he didn't. But we made the determination that, like other protests that we have here in the city, having liaison officers and vests out there might be a good idea. So that's kind of what we have been doing. I think after this last incident, we are looking to see if we can make some adjustments on our approach out there. Maybe not be so close to the protest side, but maybe be in the area to see if things will go okay out there. So we're trying to learn from that. Our teams are looking at it as well and saying, could we have de-escalated? Could we have done a little bit better? And I think we're looking at that, and I'm sure that they've had some learning from that. So I just wanted to bring that incident up. Is there any questions on that? I see a couple hands, or at least one hand up.
Go ahead, Commissioner Calvert.
Yes, I would like to know, what do you contribute to what has helped you guys lower your crime rate by, I think you said 20%, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, that's year to date, and of course that fluctuates. But I think one thing is that we're just getting more fully staffed. So
Okay.
We just have more police officers out on the streets. It's been a lot of years where they haven't been fully staffed, so we end up just going to calls for service and maybe not as engaged. I would say, like, one of the things that deters crime, the best is not like the level of punishment, but the likelihood of getting caught. So as we just are more visible in the community, it reduces people from committing crime in the first place. So I think that's playing a role. And our officers are just working really hard. And I think as we see these, and I was telling this to the city council today, as we see the crime rates go down and we see the call response times improve, this is going to free up time for our officers to move to more I would say community engagement, maybe initiatives with our youth. We've been talking about that here in this commission, but just being more engaged with the community, and working on traffic safety. That's another thing. We're having too many fatalities resulting from issues around traffic safety and pedestrians walking in the community. So we'll be able to get our officers engaging better with the community, dealing with some of those quality of life issues. But I think generally across the country, the crime rates have dropped a little bit across the country generally, but our officers are really just working hard.
My second part of this question is, how well do you believe that, when you talked about, having officers that are social workers, how much do you think that is contributing to helping with keeping and de-escalating situations?
Yeah. So I mean, our social workers are taking a lot of calls from our officers and working with people in the community so that our officers aren't there in the first place. So our social workers are just critical to this department. Like, I mean, I'm so thankful we have them, and we're fortunate because not all police departments do. So that's significantly contributing. Another thing that we've been doing over the past year, in part of the mayor's public safety plan, we developed a program called Connect. And we looked at the top 50 individuals in the city that our police officers are encountering in either citing or arresting. Is actually based on arrests. And we've taken two of our social workers and we've had them work on case managing those individuals and getting them connected to services, getting them connected to housing, whatever the needs are. And we've seen a significant reduction in police interaction. So we're currently looking at how we can expand Project Connect. And there's some discussions at the state level. There was a recent article on homelessness being down where Project Connect was mentioned. So I think that is playing into it as well. We're finding better solutions than just arresting individuals and getting them the help that they need. And as we continue to focus on that, I think we'll continue to see improvement.
Okay, I appreciate that. And my third part to this is, what are we doing about our youth at risk?
So we're currently drafting our strategic plan right now, and a big component of our strategic plan is going to be investing in our youth. And as I mentioned, as we get more fully staffed and we have more, we have officers that get better, what we call beat integrity, meaning you stay in your area and get to know your beat, investing in the community. So we've been working with the school district, our school resource officers on building relationships with kids that are at risk. And I mentioned this to city council today, but you're going to see a social media story in the near future where a school resource officer had worked with some at-risk youth and had an amazing outcome. And so I'm not going to break the specifics of the story till you see it in social media, but so we're trying to move in that direction where our officers can stop by, a park where kids are playing. They can stop by. Our patrol officers can stop by the schools, not just as school resource officers, and we can look at also data around where we're having domestic violence incidents where there's kids involved and how we can find community solutions to address the needs of those kids, because that is a high indicator of future criminogenic behavior for kids if they're seeing those things in their families. So we're all in and working with our partners to help our youth in our community, because this is going to be a major long-term investment.
I like that, and I really appreciate that. One of the things that I'm now doing is pushing a lot of what I want to say, responsibility under DCFS in order to, number one, put a lot more emphasis on what we're doing with foster homes and why we have so many of them that fail. And because they don't have any type of debriefing policy that helps us get and that helps us with knowing what's going on with kids and being able to help in that way too, because so many of these kids are out there and we just don't have foster parents that are trained, that are strong enough. And one of the things I'm pushing is to do a better job of training them, doing a better job of matching kids to foster homes, and doing that kind of thing so that we can help in that way too, keeping students and kids that are at risk and trying to get them to be more of a positive role model in the community. So I really appreciate what you're doing there. And that really is important to me.
Yeah, we're happy to take any input on our strategic plan, but it is going to be a large investment as we continue to get kind of this crime rate down and our call response times down, and really reinvesting that time into the community. It will pay dividends in the long run, I believe. So thanks, and great work that you're doing as well. It's important.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I appreciate the work you guys are doing. I think I've seen a big difference, and since I've started on the commission to where we're at today, and how we're doing with the general public, and even with our youth. I'm just because I believe our youth are such at risk more now than ever, and the mental health crisis that we're facing right now in this state is just, it's almost off the chart. And so I really appreciate everything that Salt Lake City PD is doing in order to, to put their best foot forward to help in those areas and help de-escalate crime. And that's a big part of it.
Thank you. And like I told the city council today, the budget requests that we have this year, we hope this commission can support those. And we're actually going to ask you for a letter of support specifically to our real-time crime center. We're going to show you these videos to see if we can garner that support again this year. But these investments that we're asking the city council to make this year are going to just allow us to do exactly what you're talking about in an even more effective way. So I think with that, if it's okay, we'd like to show a couple videos. Do we have those? Yes. Ready to go on the screen?
Wait, can I ask a clarifying question? What support are you trying to get from the city council?
We're asking for this commission, as you did last year, to put a letter of support in for our budget requests around our drones, specifically around our real-time crime center and drones as first responders. So we're asking this commission to consider writing a letter of support again this year as you did last year. It doesn't have any funding attached to it. It's just a request that we're having. We're just asking the commission to provide a letter of support.
Okay, I just want to clarify because last year the commission funded it out of their non-holding account. So that is a one-time funding.
Right.
So you guys already budgeted what you need?
Yeah, we've already budgeted what we need. I think that we've talked, and the mayor's office, we've talked together, and we would like, if the commission is willing to send another letter of support, it has no funding attached to the commission's money. It's just a letter of support.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to try and share my screen here.
Try this out. I'm gonna let Deputy Chief Manzanares talk through these. How many are we showing?
I've got 3 or 4, but we can do whatever.
Just in the interest of time, maybe we'll show just a couple, and then we'll see if people are interested in seeing any more.
Okay. Let me turn my volume. Actually, it looks like I have sound.
As he's pulling this up, I'll just set the table here. So we got a call with a violent man with a weapon. And so if a call comes over the radio like that, we're going to have multiple officers responding, and they're going to be responding probably what we call under code. So they're going to have their lights on potentially, and they're going to be moving pretty quickly through the city. That's the call that we got. In this case, when the call came into dispatch, it was sent over to our real-time crime center, and our drone pilot puts up the drone, so the drone arrives ahead of our officers to give that real-time information to our officers so we can adjust our approach. So that's what you're seeing there. The drone has arrived on this violent man with a weapon call. I mean, and as you're seeing here, would any of you consider this a violent man with a weapon?
No,
No.
I would not.
So this is a case where our drone pilot was able to say, cancel your response, maybe send social workers instead. We don't need police officers responding to this call. So this is an example of the alternate response. The drone as first responder is an alternate to sending police officers. So those police officers can be deployed to calls for service that they really need to be at. So this is one example of how the drone is saving us time, giving us better situation. And because when officers respond at an elevated because of what they're hearing, and they show up and this person's obviously in mental crisis, that can escalate. So this is just good real-time information for us.
Yeah, so sorry. So we got a call of a suicidal person sitting on a ledge. And we didn't get a real good address, and obviously there's some pretty big buildings downtown, and officers were struggling to find this person. So our drone was able to get up in the air and locate the person. And it even took the drone looking around a little bit to find the person. But on top of that, once we were able to find the person, the drone was able to walk our officers into where the person was, giving updates. Okay, they're looking this way, come from this direction, and you'll be able to see the outcome here. But this, I don't know, it would have taken a long time to find this person. And luckily, in this case, we were able to get there in time to help them before they made the decision to go through with their plan. Okay, so there she is there. And again, we were able to guide our officers in with these situations. We're worried that maybe they see an officer coming and startles them, or they go over the edge. But in this case, let me go to the next video here. You can see our officers coming up there from the right. And I'll just warn you, they kind of pull her off kind of fast. It doesn't, not real soft the way they pulled her off, but they were really trying to make sure that she didn't fall off. And then they spent some time after talking with her and getting her the help that she needed. So.
Drone pilot is saying she's looking this direction, come in, approach from this angle.
I have a question about how those drones work. You just said pilot. The pilot is at the real time.
It's in the public safety, but he or she's in the public safety building
Okay.
on a laptop. These pilots are FFA certified.
Oh,
To fly a drone out of line of sight, you have to be certified by the FAA. As far as people are all trained, and they're extensively trained before they deploy like this.
So we have drones that we carry in our cars that are drone. We have some that can deploy in the field. Specific to our real-time crime center, they're going to be launching from inside the real-time crime center, from locations that are
okay.
throughout the city.
That's what I was curious about. When do they launch? And it's the pilot that they have privy to those emergency, the 911 call, I would imagine.
Yeah. So right now we have just. We have a software, we operate off of a computer-aided dispatch system we call our CAD system, and that system comes up on our officer's computer when they're responding to a call. We've now integrated that into our real-time crime center, so when a call comes in, all that information pops up. They can launch, and then they start feeding information to our officers as they're driving to the call.
Okay.
They can actually feed their live video to them as well.
Okay.
One thing to note is he's pulling up this last video. We do not actively patrol with these drones. So they're not just flying around the city looking for problems. They only deploy when there's a call for service, and it's the appropriate type of call that would make sense to deploy the drone. So on lower priority calls, we can clear those without sending officers many times. On the higher priority calls, we can get there and provide real-time intelligence to our information to the officers. But we don't actively just fly them around looking for problems.
And that was my
Okay.
question. How visible are these drones? And is it something that the person can see and then stop doing what they're doing? Or is it very, very inconspicuous?
I mean, I think you've all been around when there's drones in the air, but typically they're pretty inconspicuous because they're high enough that, we're not flying them down over the top of someone's head, but they're pretty inconspicuous, but you can hear them occasionally. It depends. And I think another point to make, when they're flying to their location, we're typically trying to keep the camera angle up so it's not looking down. So as we're flying over places, we try to keep the camera angle pushed up as much as possible for privacy.
Okay, this one was, I went too far. This one was a man with a man walking in traffic. During, you can see by the cars that there's a high traffic time. And this is another instance where it would, especially during this time of day with this traffic, it would take our officers a long time to get there. Our drone operator was able to get here, and I find the man, identify the man. They were able to see that he did in fact have something in his hand that was a little bit troubling. You'll see in a minute. And I'll warn you on this one, he does go behind a young woman that's walking in the park, and it's a little scary on this one because you're like, run. But we were able to, when we do see that, our drone operators were able to talk to our officers and actually have them step up, meaning come faster, because he saw that there was a young woman that was in danger walking in the park. So like the first video was a great example of de-escalation, where it was the guy with the stick, and it's like, that's not a weapon. This is an example where it's like, hey guys, you need to get here quicker.
Are the
Uh-huh.
are the videos like choppy for the drone pilots as well, or is that just because of
No, that's streaming, and that's us trying to piece them together and shorten them up a little bit. So,
okay, that's what I figured.
so you can see he's got a metal pipe in his hand there. He enters the park, and our officers are giving the directions to our officers. He's now entered Liberty Park. And up to this point, our officers are just responding normal, and he's saying, yeah, this is where he's at, this is what he's wearing. But as you see this young woman here that he walks up behind that's kneeling, at this point in time, our drone operator is telling our officers, hey, you need to get there. He's coming up behind this girl. He's got the weapon in his hand. And she doesn't see him until right there. And then she actually is calling dispatch right now on her phone because it made her nervous enough that, especially as he starts following her out. So again, our drone operator is giving updates. He's now following her. She's on the phone with dispatch asking for help. At this point, our officers start running codes. So they start running with lights and sirens. And in just a second, he'll be able to hear our sirens, and he hears that and veers off because he hears that our officers are coming. And who knows what his plans were, what he would have done. But just a great example of feeding that live information, giving those updates to our officers. And we were able to help this person, both of them, because obviously he's suffering from some, mental stuff too, and help her as well. So.
I have a few questions just because I didn't know what was established last year. In regards to the way that this film is secured, to prevent data leaks, or in terms of privacy, how is that established?
We have all of our data, all of our criminal justice data, whether it's video, body camera video, or reports. It's all stored in a cloud environment in our control. We have the typical, encryption and privacy. And then anything that, nothing is released unless it's required by state law, by grandma requests. And so if people want to request video, then we would look, our grandma specialist would look at it and determine whether it should be released or not. But we have retention policies on how long we keep the data, pretty standard across law enforcement.
One thing, if I could add, we actually are working on a dashboard that it's outward facing, open to the public, or they can go in and see that because it tracks where drones fly, and they can see, like, if you wanted to look up this case, you could see exactly where the drone, where it flew, and and we don't have that totally up and running yet, but we're working on that.
So like as it's flying, people.
No, it would be after the fact. It would be if you saw a drone, you knew this happened, you wanted to go and see I want to see where that drone was flying.
Yeah.
You go in and see the route that it took.
And does it blur faces or?
You wouldn't see it.
It's not a video. It's not a video. It's like a line across.
Oh, you're talking about like the
yeah.
geographic. Okay. So like spatial mapping. Okay.
And then each flight is tied to a case number. There's a reason. I mean, that it explains the reason it was deployed on what type of case, and then we have auditing as well. So it's just every flight is logged.
And then let's say, for example, like you get a request about, like, for instance, this man, but then somehow in that video you also see maybe someone littering or jaywalking. How does that, like, is the focus primarily on the subject will it impact people like later on who weren't even aware?
Well, you won't really know how to identify those people potentially. So that might be one thing. I mean, I think we wouldn't, if we were flying to a call and someone is getting assaulted,
you would obviously want to intervene.
Is different than the drone pilot would probably call something like that out. But if it's just someone's littering or,
or just doing something silly like some teenagers,
right. Yeah, right. Exactly. That's not what we're concerned about, but we also would probably intervene on a serious crime. Yeah, we would for sure.
And then just last question. I know you said like it's not going to be actively patrolling. I think this is great. Like all of these examples are fantastic. But I think we can all agree, like we live in the US, right? I don't ever want to live in like a maybe communist country like China. I don't want to be surveilled 24/7, right? And so could there ever be the chance to change that current policy so that they could be actively patrolling? Like, what is the flexibility of changing that policy? Or is it set in stone? It's only during.
I mean, state law governs a lot of what we can and can't do. So there's that. And then, I think beyond that, the city council, if they have, ordinances around it, but state law generally governs it. We don't plan on actively patrolling, and that will be in our policy.
Okay. Thank you.
But I mean, I think we all share concerns. We don't want to be in a surveillance state. I use this example quite often. Like I actually have access. Well, actually I don't, because I don't have I haven't been certified recently, but our police officers have access to a lot of information on you, on all of us, right? We don't access that information unless we have a reason to. So if you think about like the driver's license database, criminal history databases, things like that, that is at the fingertips of our officers. But if we access it improperly, we lose our job, we get charged potentially criminally. And I think it's very similar with this type of technology, whether it be cameras, license plate readers, or drones. If we have access to those cameras at our fingertips in a real-time crime center, but we don't access them unless we have a reason to. And if we do access those types of technologies and we don't have a reason, we have internal policies. There's state law certification. Your state law enforcement certification can be put at risk. So we've operated for years with written information at our fingertips that we don't access unless we have a reason. This is just camera footage. I think those are all of our updates. We were hoping that the commission would consider just writing another letter of support this year to continue to help us with this alternate response in our city.
Fred, I think it's fair to draft an email to myself, the chair, and Katie. Yeah, yeah, with more detail so that we understand, and then,
We can put something together like that.
yes,
Fine.
thank you.
You better.
And a deadline when you need the letter too, because, yeah.
Yep. We'll do all of that. Thank you.
Can I just go back to the car, I don't know if it's Utah drivers or out of state drivers, but it's a nightmare. Like I will be driving and people are just cutting in front, going 3 or 4 lanes over, or they don't know how to use their signal or something. But I don't want to be like that. Like I don't want to be a Karen and be like, oh, I'm gonna take a picture of your license plate. But there are some very reckless drivers, and I'm wondering what is the proper procedure to be like, hey, like this person, maybe is intoxicated or, but they're somehow getting through whatever. Like I would rather people be safe and one person get a penalty than something tragic happen.
So the best thing to do in that situation, if you're seeing someone that's putting people at risk right now, is just to call 911.
Okay.
If you can get a copy, if you can get the license, a description of the vehicle, the driver, the license plate, the location, and just call in to 911 because that information is not going to be super helpful later because the risk is going on right now.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Chief Red, thank you so much for your report tonight and the videos. It was really helpful to just see it in fruition, to see the manifestation of it all.
We again thank you for your support last year because this commission is enabling this to happen. So thank you.
Can I ask one question related to it? So like in your first example of the gentleman having the mental health crisis, is that now the default response is to send a drone before an officer? Or is that just
Again, that wasn't called in as a mental health crisis.
right?
Called in as a man with a violent man with a weapon. So if it was a mental health crisis, if we knew that, we wouldn't send a drone.
Okay.
We would send social workers. In this case, the description came out wrong. It was someone miscategorized this situation, and our drone was able to say, no, this isn't a man with a violent weapon.
Our officers were going to that call with the drone and the drone operator turned them around.
Yeah.
So they were going.
But
Okay.
if we had a call in that this person's having a mental health crisis, if it was a mental health crisis where others maybe put at risk or that, then maybe we would deploy a drone to get there to see what's going on. But if it's just someone calling in on 911 that they're having a mental health crisis in their home or
Right. That's
that there's no one at risk, we would send a drone for that.
right. So if somebody calls in and say like, oh, somebody's on my street and they're acting erratic and they have a weapon, would that be the default then to send the drone first?
If there's a call of a weapon, yeah, they would.
Weapon.
Yeah, it'd be a call. Yeah, thank you, Deputy Chief Christian. So it'd be a call response because we'd have an officer and a social worker if they were available.
Okay.
If there's a weapon involved, you're typically going to have a drone deployed to try to confirm that because again, if there's not a weapon, we could slow our response down. If there is a weapon and people are at risk, it might increase. Well, we showed the last example. In that case, there was a weapon, and we did expedite our response because someone was at risk.
Okay. Thanks.
I think the key is the drone will give us better real-time information so we can craft the right approach for officers arriving.
Right. So then are there just like certain circumstances that they listen in for to know to deploy the drone first, and that would be like the threat of violence, having a weapon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or sometimes there might be a call like there's a person on the street corner that's causing a problem, and many times we'll hold that call and it won't be a high priority, and so it'll take 20 or 30 minutes. And by the time the officers arrive, the call is gone. So in that case, we might send a drone and either the person's there or they're not. We can clear the call and we can get the officer to another call. So we'll have those situations as well.
Again, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and move us forward in the meeting through our agenda. But thank you for the reporting and the presentation. The next item on our agenda is to discuss the iChamps, their training proposal. Wanted to open it up for discussion among the commissioners, their proposal at this time. I personally because it's like over a month ago, I remember the presentation, but I don't recall what they're asking for, their proposal, what they're asking for.
I'm sure.
Do you remember the amount?
Yeah,
25?
it's 25,000. So that was the email that went separately to you all. I don't know if you all had a chance to review it. But it was to the commission, so it's a different proposal. I do know that Commissioner Calvert brought forth some things of the proposal, but tonight we do have to vote on the budget and the numbers.
Okay,
Unfortunately, because we don't have a meeting till September. And I know the subcommittee wants to get moving on this, and it's gonna take time with PD to schedule. It's gonna take time on the back end to even get it financed. So if you have any notes on the content, I know I have Commissioner Calvert's to consider. And Commissioner Satini also sent me some stuff. It's gonna go through the subcommittee. But we would need to be okay that you feel like you have enough information between the presentation and the proposal to vote on the budget, the number, 25,000.
How much is it? How much is that? What's the percent or out of the total budget that we have? Like the 25 is out of what amount of money? Or there's not a
Like the
specific,
pool of money,
yeah,
I don't know that amount right now, but I know we have more than 25,000.
so that's okay.
Yeah.
Like that's not gonna
Yeah,
be. Or Lucia or Dia here today?
no, they're not.
Oh, okay, so it's on me. Okay.
It's just the list.
You guys?
Okay. You say.
Yeah, green light.
I just don't see the grid.
Oh, here, orange.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Commissioner Rokachina from the Youth Safety Subcommittee, or yeah, School Safety Subcommittee, I mean. I would say in regards to the presentation from iChamps, the subcommittee, ourselves, we do think that this would be a great step forward in expanding the current trainings for SROs. It focuses not only on the way they handle situations, but also brings in administration and does training with them, which honestly, after speaking with the SROs, has been one of the biggest barriers, I think, in creating the best environment for our youth to be safe. I personally say that I am, very behind this program. I spoke to them afterwards and made sure to really look into like what are they hoping to achieve? What are the gaps that they still aren't able, because no program is going to be able to address every issue. And so that will allow our subcommittee to then focus on other ways to fill in the gaps. But if you have any other questions, let me know.
there are no other questions. Would someone like to make a motion on this proposal?
I'll make the motion.
I'll
What's your
second.
motion?
That was, yeah, the second was by Commissioner Summerfield.
Yeah, could you be a little more specific on what the motion is?
Oh, sorry. Oh, I would like to motion for us to fund the iChamps training for SROs.
Yeah, and I'll second the funding.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Or raise your hand.
Aye.
Overturn Alan Murdoch now reacting, saying he's great.
TV.
That was everyone's sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. We are gonna move on to subcommittee updates, the training and data. They're not currently meeting at this time. I didn't see Dia on tonight.
Yeah, so
Do you want to give an update?
more of an update. Yeah, I didn't know she was in.
Sorry, I'm just gonna take a look. Okay,
Yeah, maybe a briefing on the meeting.
yeah,
The
that's good. So just a update, I can't, was it 2 weeks ago?
What the SRO meeting
Yeah.
or
The SRO meeting.
April 2nd.
Oh, it's been
The
that,
month.
oh, that's long. Okay. Wow, time is
I know.
flying by
like,
fast. But yeah, we have a in general, it was good to meet the SROs. I didn't realize that it's a pretty small team of about 10 for the entire like Salt Lake School District. So that was interesting to comprehend the amount of responsibility they have with all the different locations. But I got a chance to really dig into what were their main concerns, what were their priorities. And really, there was like a theme of about like 4 to 5 items that I think our subcommittee could target with administration. Do you want me to go through all of them or just?
Yeah, no, maybe not.
No, that's too much.
Yeah.
But we had a recent meeting just as a subcommittee, and we're gonna be focusing on proactive steps to approach administration, get their feedback, compile the data, which is what I always like to do before I make any next actionable steps, and then move forward with how to address any enhancements or process improvements.
And then I just want to add to that because I think you might have left. I know that Sergeant Lambshire is also supportive of this commission, and it would take the whole commission, not just the subcommittee because they're small, but for everyone to shadow an SRO so that you can all see their experience, right? It's hard to gauge their experience from us talking to them in a room. So Jennifer Newell, our senior education advisor, she's going to help with scheduling that. And I'm hoping we can do that, I don't know, summer, because there's no kids, right? Maybe we'll look to the fall.
It would have to be in the fall. Because
Yeah, fall.
in the summer, we've got them, they won't be at the schools.
Okay, perfect. That gives us time to set it up, and for you all to look at schedules. I'll make sure to get that from Jen. She wants to lead that effort between the school district and our SROs, because that's kind of her role. And then we should have a full governing body by that time so that you all aren't taxed either. But I do want you all to be part of that experience.
Okay, thank you for that update. Our community outreach and engagement, Gloria, would you like to give an update on that subcommittee?
Maybe she did. Oh yeah, no, I think she did. Okay. Just for that subcommittee, the biggest things, and Dietrich, I'll let you if you want to touch on social media just a little bit, since you had that meeting with Glenn. For this subcommittee though, in this email reminder yesterday that I sent out a Google link, a Google spreadsheet. You'll see that there's 2 different tabs. If you guys can all go in, because this is also, right, there's subcommittees, but it's a collaborative effort of the body. There's 2 different tabs on that. One is going over community leaders and organizations that you would like the department chief and his leadership team to meet with. Just put that on there, and then we can go through who they met with afterwards. But just go ahead, put in your networks, anybody you think related clearly to the Salt Lake City Police Department, serving Salt Lake City, relevant in that realm. Just put that on the spreadsheet, and it's all labeled of what you need to include on there. And then the second tab is going to be an events directory. So that is very detailed as well. There's all these different types of events, right? Free events, paid events, getting a table, or maybe tabling at an event. So I want you all to be specific of what you might want PD to do. And I know that Commissioner Mensah mentioned this as well, right? Not all communities, especially communities of color, are necessarily supportive of the police department, right? So as you all are putting these information on there, it would be good to probably vet, like, hey, would you want police at your event? Maybe not having the police at every single event, but there's public events that I know the community would love to see police at. So use your best judgment or reach out to the organizations. I know you all serve very different and unique communities. So I just want to make sure that is covered, right? Because again, some communities might have more comfort with police and law enforcement than others. But still put it on there. And if you feel like you need to add a note or something, just put it on there. But that's how we're going to be working with that spreadsheet.
Can I just do a real quick comment?
Yeah.
we had our Eid Bazaar, I forgot which community center, and the police officer there was like so excited to see people in their clothes, and he was like, "Can I take a selfie with you?" And honestly, it was such a great interaction. My mom was like, "Oh, everyone's so excited to take a selfie with him." So yeah.
That's what we're looking for.
That's what we want.
Okay. Thank you for that. I'll give an update also on, I was able to meet with Glenn and his team, the PR professionals, and, talk through some ideas for social media campaigns. And I honestly learned a lot about just the fine line that's walked, just you have not just the audience that's the community, but we have other audiences as well that's paying attention to what the police department is doing, and whatever they market, people are paying attention to. So in the near future, I'll be circling up with the gentleman on the PR team to brainstorm some social media campaigns that will, just shed a positive light on the police department, and, just make it a little more user friendly is not the word I'm looking for, just that the approachable, that to the community, the police department is approachable because, hey, they have Instagram. So that's relatable. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And Julia, did you have an update on your subcommittee, the policies and practices?
Meeting too.
Oh, they're not meeting right now? Oh, okay. Okay. We don't have any items for a closed session. Okay. Okay, well, I think that brings us to the end of our meeting today. Then our next official meeting won't happen until September. We take a recess through the summer and we have a retreat. So commissioners, if you haven't filled out that form yet about what works for you, please get that filled out. But as of now, do I need a motion to adjourn? Well, I make a motion to adjourn. Anyone second?
Sorry, because you're the chair.
I don't.
I
And
will
Nick.
make a, and to adjourn.
I second it.
Thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.